One angry message can destroy a relationship. One impulsive decision can erase years of trust. One sentence spoken in the wrong moment can damage your reputation, your career, or the way someone sees you forever. And the most dangerous part is this. In the moment, your reaction feels completely justified. Your heart is racing, your body is tense, your mind is building a case against the person in front of you. Every part of you wants to respond immediately. Then the moment passes, the anger fades. And now you have to live with what the emotion made you do. So how do you control an emotion before it controls what you do next? First, understand this. Emotional control does not mean feeling nothing. It does not mean becoming cold, silent, or detached from everyone around you. Your emotions are not your enemy. Anger can tell you that a boundary has been crossed. Fear can warn you about danger. Disappointment can reveal what mattered to you. Anxiety can show you where uncertainty feels threatening. Emotions carry information, but information is not a command. You should listen to what you feel. You should not automatically obey it. Real emotional control begins when you can feel something deeply without allowing that temporary feeling to make a permanent decision. The problem is that emotions often take control before you even realize what is happening. Someone speaks to you with disrespect. A message is ignored. Your work is criticized. A person you trust says something that touches an old wound. Before you form a clear thought, your body has already reacted. Your pulse rises. Your jaw tightens. Your shoulders become tense. Your attention narrows. You stop hearing the entire conversation and begin searching for proof that you are being attacked. You are no longer simply feeling anger. You are interpreting everything through anger. The other person's expression looks hostile. Their silence feels insulting. A small comment begins to represent every time you have ever felt dismissed, rejected, or powerless. This is why emotional control begins in the body. Notice the early signs. Your voice becomes louder. You interrupt. You begin preparing your response instead of listening. You feel pressure to prove your point. You want to send a long message immediately. You think, I need to answer this right now. That urgency is the warning. You are not choosing your response anymore. The emotion is choosing for you. And that creates the reaction trap. An emotion convinces you that immediate action will restore control. You feel disrespected, so you attack. You feel ignored, so you accuse. You feel rejected, so you withdraw dramatically. You feel embarrassed, so you try to embarrass someone else. For a few seconds, the reaction may feel powerful. You finally said what you wanted to say. You pressed send. You raised your voice. You walked away and slammed the door. The pressure drops. But now a new problem begins. The other person reacts to your reaction. The conflict grows. The original issue becomes almost irrelevant. Instead of discussing what happened, you are now defending the way you behaved. A reaction can give you relief for a moment while creating consequences that last for years. This does not mean you should tolerate disrespect or remain silent when something is wrong. It means that the first impulse is rarely your wisest response. The event itself is only one part of the experience. The second part is the meaning you give it. The fact may be that someone did not answer your message. The story may be that they do not respect you, they are intentionally ignoring you, and they no longer care about you. That story produces anger. The anger produces an accusation. The accusation creates a conflict that may never have been necessary. But there is another mistake people make. They confuse emotional control with suppression. They feel hurt but pretend to be fine. They feel angry but smile. They avoid difficult conversations because they believe a strong person should never be affected. They tolerate repeated boundary violations, then tell themselves they are being calm. But suppression is not control. Suppression hides the emotion. Control understands it. When you suppress what you feel, the emotion does not disappear. It waits. It appears later as resentment, coldness, exhaustion, passive aggression, or an explosion over something small. You are not emotionally controlled because you never speak. You are emotionally controlled when you can choose the right time, the right words, and the right action. You can be calm and still say, that is not acceptable. You can control yourself and still leave. You can understand your anger and still set a firm boundary. The goal is not to eliminate emotion. The goal is to create space between the feeling and the action. That space is where your freedom begins. When you feel yourself losing control, stop. Do not send the message. Do not make the call. Do not make a major decision. Do not resign from your job in the middle of an argument. Do not end a relationship while you are overwhelmed. Do not say the sentence you know cannot be taken back. Then slow your body down. Take one controlled breath. Relax your jaw. Lower your shoulders. Place both feet on the ground. Look around the room. Notice what your body is doing. This does not magically solve the problem. It does something more important. It interrupts the automatic reaction. Then buy yourself time. Say, I need a moment to think. I don't want to answer emotionally. Let me come back to this. I understand what you said. I need time before I respond. A pause is not weakness. It does not mean agreement. It does not mean fear. It does not mean that the other person has won. It means you refuse to let an impulse make the decision for you. Never make a serious decision while you are in a state of intense anger, panic, humiliation, jealousy, or despair. The emotion may be real. The conclusion it is pushing you toward may not be. Once you create that pause, ask yourself a simple question. What am I actually feeling? Many people call everything anger, but anger is often protecting something underneath it. You may be afraid of losing someone. You may feel ashamed. You may feel powerless. You may feel rejected, unimportant, or exposed. You may be disappointed because reality did not match your expectations. I am angry may really mean I feel like I do not matter. This person is unbearable may really mean I am afraid they will leave. They do not respect me may really mean I have not clearly communicated my boundary. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? What am I afraid this situation means? What do I actually need right now? When you name an emotion accurately, it becomes less chaotic. You may realize that you do not need revenge. You need clarity. You may not need to attack. You need a boundary. You may not need another message. You need distance. You may not need to win the argument. You need rest before continuing it. But even a correctly named emotion can still be based on a false story, so separate the facts from the story. The facts are what actually happened, what was said, what was done, what could a neutral observer confirm. The story is everything your mind added. They always do this. Nobody respects me. Everyone is against me. They did it on purpose. They think I am weak. My life is ruined. Suppose someone cancels a meeting. The fact is that the meeting was canceled. The story may be that you are unimportant, they are using you, and they have never respected you. Suppose your manager corrects your work. The fact is that part of the work needs improvement. The story may be that your manager thinks you are incompetent, you are about to be fired, and your entire career is collapsing. Ask, what do I know for certain? What am I assuming? Is there another possible explanation? Will this matter in 1 week? You cannot control your emotions while believing every story your emotion creates. After you separate the facts from the story, choose your response based on the result you actually want. Do not ask only, what do I feel like doing? Ask, what response moves me toward the outcome I want? Maybe your goal is to protect a boundary. Maybe it is to preserve a relationship. Maybe it is to end a toxic conversation. Maybe it is to get clarity. Maybe it is to keep your dignity and leave without creating more damage. You usually have more options than your emotion allows you to see. You can ask calmly, what did you mean by that? You can set a boundary. I am willing to discuss this, but not in that tone. You can delay. I will respond after I have had time to think. You can leave. This conversation is no longer productive. I am stepping away. You cannot fully control another person's tone, opinion, behavior, or mood. You can control your words. You can control when you answer. You can control whether you continue the conversation. You can control your boundaries. You can control what you do after the situation ends. Emotional control is not winning every argument. It is refusing to lose control of yourself. Before you react, use this 5-question test. What am I feeling? What actually happened? What story have I added? What result do I want? What action will I respect tomorrow? Imagine someone criticizes you in front of other people. You feel humiliation and anger. The fact is that they made a harsh comment. The story is that everyone now thinks you are weak. Your goal is to keep your dignity and address the problem. Your response may be to ask for clarification, speak privately after the meeting, or calmly state that the tone was inappropriate. You are in control when you can pause, when you can name the feeling, when you can examine the facts, when you understand your goal, when you choose your action consciously. The emotion controls you when you feel forced to respond immediately, when you want to punish, when you need to prove something, when you do what you already know you will regret. When you call an impulse honesty, the strongest person in the room is often the one who can feel everything without obeying everything. You will still become angry. You will still feel fear, disappointment, jealousy, embarrassment, and pain. Your body will still react. The impulse will still appear. But now there can be a choice between the impulse and the action. Pause, name the emotion, separate the facts from the story. Choose the response you will respect tomorrow. Your emotions can speak. They just do not get to make the final decision.